Welcome to Watch Me Go Broke. You know, saving the ocean is something I think we can all get behind, seeing as how we pretend to dive in it on the weekends. But what if I told you you could help save the ocean by buying a watch? You'd say, go on, wise one. Well, you can with the Seiko Chronograph. Let's face it, once we get our sorry selves off the couch and go sailing in the ocean, we're gonna need a watch that helps us navigate around all the islands of garbage. Let's awkwardly bend over a table and take a look. All right, guys, on my wrist today is my Seiko Flightmaster on yet another Omega NATO. I did not buy these Omega NATOs just for the Flightmaster. I bought them for other watches, but I think it just works so well with this watch. If you haven't checked out my review of the Flightmaster, look back through the archives, and it's mildly entertaining. Okay guys, so here is the subject of today's review. This is going to be the Seiko Save the Ocean Chronograph, reference number SSC701P1. You've got a 42 or 43 millimeter case depending on where you measure it. The bezel overhangs the case just ever so slightly, giving you an extra millimeter there. It's going to be 47 millimeters with the pushers, 19 millimeter lugs, and a thickness of 14 millimeters. This is going to be powered by the Seiko V175 quartz movement, which is a solar movement, meaning you don't need a battery. It's charged by the sun, and once it is fully charged, you get a 6-month power reserve. A 120 click unidirectional bezel befels this watch today. You do have a good amount of backplay with this unidirectional bezel, and it doesn't quite line up properly, as is par for the course for Seiko. 3 subdials on this watch today. At the 9 o'clock position, you have the counting quartz seconds hand. At the 3 o'clock position, a 24-hour hour marker, and a 60-minute timer down at the 6 o'clock position. The case is going to be plated with a black ion coating over stainless steel. It isn't quite black, it's more of a brown color. A screw down case back, which is actually quite attractive looking. It says Air Divers 200 meters, Seiko Special Edition. Stainless steel, the movement caliber there, serial number, and movement Japan. Since this is a chronograph, you will get screw-down pushers at the 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock position. Starting the chronograph, it does have a mechanical feel, which is very similar to what Seiko did with the Flightmaster. I believe it's 1/20th of a second sweep, if I read that correctly. If I did not, please forgive me and don't blast me in the comments. 60-minute chronograph timer, stopping the chronograph and resetting, very similar to the Flightmaster. The crystal on the watch is Seiko's Hardlex crystal. Yeah, I know. At this price point, pretty inexcusable by Seiko. Sapphire would definitely have been something that I would have looked at. I just don't understand why they don't do sapphire at this price point. Speaking of price point, you can find these on eBay all the livelong day at a variety of prices. So you need to be a little bit careful where you get it from. It seems like currently Amazon has the best price. All applied indices, which appear to be applied to a solar cell. And since this is solar, you charge it by wearing it out in the sun. Supposedly it does charge under artificial light inside. I've found that to be fairly accurate, but I think you do, as soon as you get this watch, you definitely need to take it out in the sun, give it some love. The first day I got this, I actually took it to a park that I usually exercise at, and there's a forest, and I kind of went through there just to give it a good charge. I did run the 60-minute chronograph during that, so I could see how long I was out there for sure. The strap is going to be one of the newer Seiko straps that they've been putting on. Excuse the little hairs on it. It does pick up quite a bit of dust and quite a bit of lint, as you can see there. but it is extremely comfortable. You've got a metal keeper as well with the Seiko logo very deeply etched in there, and the buckle also has Seiko etched in it. Very substantial hardware, very solid, and the strap itself very, very comfortable. I'm really glad that Seiko took the time to redo their rubber straps, because the rubber straps that are on a lot of their earlier models, they're just atrocious. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this watch is going to be part of the Seiko Save the Ocean program, which a portion of the proceeds go to the Fabien Cousteau Ocean Learning Center, which is a really neat program. I would definitely recommend looking that up online so you can kind of see where your money goes and all the great work that Fabien Cousteau is doing to try to help the ocean. I think that's really a neat thing and a good thing that Seiko did with this particular line of watches. There's a Seiko Save the Ocean Turtle, Save the Ocean Samurai as well. They continue to crank these out in different color shades and models. And this watch also is 200 meters of water resistance, which is highly unusual for a chronograph. Now, this to me would be a real watch connoisseur's watch, because you have to understand what the 200 meters of water resistance actually is. I think if you're a beginner to the watch world, you could make a mistake in thinking like, well, that's cool, I can take it underwater and I'm gonna push the chrono buttons and, you know, time how long I'm diving. Well, that would be a huge mistake, and a mistake that probably folks that really don't understand what the water resistance rating means on this watch, you definitely have to keep the pusher screwed down if you're gonna swim or do anything like that. Of course, I don't know why you would ever really swim with a chronograph watch. With this one you can, but to me there's just too much of a margin of error for the user. You can't be pushing these buttons underwater. You'll get water inside the watch and the watch will be ruined. And especially at this price, it's not something you definitely want to ruin. In theory, you could start the chrono pusher when you're above the water and then screw it down, and then you could time your dive in that fashion. But I don't know, for me it's too risky. I would just keep it screwed down the whole time if I'm sailing or boating or anything like that. You never know when the splashes are going to come up. It's just an interesting choice that Seiko did, making a chronograph that says divers 200 meters on it. I don't know. If you've ever dived with the chronograph, please let me know if you run into any problems or you time stuff with the chronograph. So what do I like about this watch? I like the look of it. I think it's really cool. It's a substantial watch. I like the color of it. The strap, obviously, is fantastic. I've actually been wearing it on a leather strap that I got from LongIslandWatch.com in Mark's junk sale. It was a deal he was doing where you'd buy a watch and ask him to send you some junk. And that's what I got. I like being able to time things with the 60-minute chronograph. It's just neat to have a chronograph. Of course, the Flightmaster does it so well, I generally will use that one. But this one, when I wear on occasion, I don't really wear it that much. It does do the job that it needs to do for sure. One thing I really do enjoy about this watch is something that the Flightmaster does very well, and they seem to translate that to this watch, is split time, which means as the chronograph is going, you see up there, you can push this bottom button and the chronograph stops visually, but internally it is still counting the time. So if you are timing, I think in the Flightmaster review I timed cows or something for some reason. I don't know. I guess I was just in a weird mood that day. But once you push this bottom button again, you will see that the chronograph will catch up to the actual time that it is currently. And I think that's such a wonderful feature of this particular chronograph and of the Flightmaster. It's just really, really neat. I like the Lume Pip actually quite a lot. It reminds me of the Omega Seamaster 300M, the earlier models. I think it's the 2531.80. That Lume Pip actually is very similar to that, a little bit recessed. I don't know if I'm getting a good shot of it. There you go. Very recessed, and not a Lume Pip that you're going to rip out very easily. And let me throw in a Lume Shot here. As you can see, the indices glow blue, which it does not appear that it is Seiko Lume Bright, which is a little bit disappointing. You always want to get that Seiko Lume. And then the minute hand is actually lumed in a different color, which I can only assume is the Seiko Lume Bright. But the blue looks cool, but it doesn't quite give off the brightness that the traditional Seiko Lume Bright does. What do I not like about this watch? The bezel action is not great. It's very clunky. It doesn't feel very good really at all. And if you notice, as traditional with Seiko, it doesn't line up. Also, I'm not sure exactly how you're supposed to time stuff accurately with a bezel, because the triangle it's like a 3/4 of a triangle. So if you're trying to get like an accurate time that you're starting, you really can't get it to the exact minute. And especially with that much backplay, you could almost have a minute error in that, which, I mean, to some people that's not a big deal, but if you're really going to use this watch as it was intended, that is a big shortcoming that this watch has. While I really respect the V175 movement and the solar capability of it, I don't like the 60-minute timer. After 60 minutes of the chronograph running, it stops. And that's frustrating because this isn't a battery-operated watch. It's solar, so you're not going to run out of power anytime soon. So I don't know why you would need to stop the chronograph. There was a time where I was going on just a little mini trip. It was, a little over an hour away, and I wanted to just time the exact amount of time that had elapsed in my trip, and the chronograph stopped at 60. So when I looked down, it was just reset like this, and I was like, what? I mean, so you didn't get an accurate time at all in that regard. So I'm not sure why they didn't do that. I assume it's to save wear and tear on the chronograph, so you can't actually just run it all the time as a running seconds hand. I'm assuming that's why they did that. A little unfortunate, but I guess it does save wear and tear on the movement. Now this is a special edition, as it says on the case back there. Special edition is different than limited edition. Special edition really just means they're going to crank out a ton of these. It's not something that's limited, like you're going to get a rare find, or you need to get it right away, or they're going to stop making it. Not the case. But the fact of the black ion coating around the case, this is somewhat irritating because it does not, to my knowledge, come on a bracelet. I really love bracelets, and that's the way I wear the majority of my watches most of the time. And this one, to my knowledge, does not have a bracelet. If there is a bracelet for it, please let me know in the comments so I can get it, because I really would like that. So you're missing a bracelet option, and really just even a shark mesh, you're not going to be able to match the color at all with it, because if you did a black shark mesh, it wouldn't quite match with what the case coating is. So that's very frustrating. This watch is not versatile at all in that regard. You're going to be relegated to this rubber strap here, or perhaps a NATO, which I've also put NATOs on this, and it is a struggle to find even a NATO that really would work with it, other than blue. You could probably do a black NATO, but it just doesn't really pop, and the NATOs don't really add anything to the watch. So a little bit disappointing in that regard. Now, in this Save the Ocean line, there are many, many models that are actually stainless steel. And even in this chronograph, this isn't something new that Seiko did. It's just a special edition of the solar chronograph that they have numerous versions of, and those are in stainless steel. And the Save the Ocean chronograph also comes in stainless steel, and I think I would really recommend getting that one over this one. You can still help save the ocean and, be a little bit more versatile, plus you can get those on a bracelet. And there it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. The strap, extremely comfortable. Great job on the strap there. It looks great. It is very thick at 14 millimeters. It's a big watch. You're gonna feel the bigness. If you have a small wrist, I don't know if I could really recommend this watch, and I certainly wish that I had gotten the stainless steel version. Just versatility would have been much more robust, and I don't know. I really, really want a steel bracelet for this. Well, there you go, the Seiko Save the Ocean Chronograph. I don't think I can recommend this watch, as there are better buys that are more versatile in this lineup. So the next time you and your buddies take a deep sea fishing trip and one of them throws a beer can overboard, go ahead and fish that beer can out and then throw that SOB overboard. I'll see you next time.